Hey there, Virgo. How you doing? So this is, I think, an important forecast for you. It's a 2-week forecast from the full moon in Scorpio, right the way through to the upcoming new moon in Gemini on the 27th of May. Now, I do these forecasts every couple of weeks. So it goes from new moon to new moon, and so on and so forth. So we're either in a waning moon phase or a waxing moon phase. This time we're in a waning moon phase from the big right the way down to the dark moon, the new moon. So this 2-week period, I think, is important for you. There's some really big themes. For instance, Uranus, the planet of change and surprise and ingenuity and innovation and also shock and surprise. That planet is attached to both, or is working with both those moons. The full moon, it's in opposition, and in the new moon, it's in a conjunction. So, Uranus is an ongoing theme throughout this week. Also, we've got Saturn changing signs going into Aries on the 25th. Now, Saturn's been in the sign of Pisces for a really, really long time. It's been in your 7th house. So that can cause problems. Saturn in the 7th can sometimes, make people a little bit moodier, especially the people that you see in your world. And in the sort of Pisces flavor that Saturn has been in, it feels like he's a bit redundant. He doesn't work in his best way. Now, when Saturn is going into the sign of Aries from the 25th, he's going to start to take responsibility for things. There's going to be a real surge of authenticity and this sense of, I need to be responsible, take responsibility for myself, lots of independence and so on and so forth. So in this 2-week period, there are, I think, big changes coming in, changes that we might feel on the periphery, that we will be internalizing. And I wonder how you are internalizing the great changes going on, but also the idea of things are being broken down. These old patterns are being broken down so that we can start to take our own authority and make a difference in our lives. So are we falling out with authority? I don't know. Let's find out. But one thing I do know is this new moon, in terms of the shape of your chart, is occurring right at the top of the chart, which has got the associations with your career, your destiny, your, the direction you're heading in, the legacy that you're building for yourself, which I think is a pretty big place to have this new moon. So so I'm going to dive into that in just a second. If you're new to this channel, I just want to say hello and welcome you. My name's Louisa Munson. Thank you for finding me. If you've come back, thank you again. I really appreciate you. Last thing, I don't know if you're watching this because you're a Virgo sun or a Virgo ascendant. The way these are designed, I think, work better for your ascendant sign. However, they do, I'm assured by all the people that write to me, that it definitely works for their sun sign too. It's definitely relevant. But if one of your suns or ascendant sign is in a different sign, why not listen to that too? It'll give you a much broader vision of what's coming up for you over the next 2 weeks. Anyway, let's bring up the slides, because I always work from those. Now, normally when I do these forecasts, I do a little extra bit at the beginning to talk through the moon phase we're in, and also to lay it out in a diary format, because I think, when I talk through each of these big aspects in a diary, I think that's quite helpful. But when I record those, they are for all the signs. So actually what I've done this time is I've taken it out and put it as a separate video. So if you want to go into that depth after, feel free to find it. I mean, it's called The Shadow and the Shift to Light, your 2-week forecast. So look out for that one. I will put a link below. Anyway, in a second, I'm going to bring up the 3 charts I'm going to look at. So it will be the full moon in Scorpio chart. Also the midpoint, just as the moon's going into Pisces and the sun's going into Gemini, and then finally the new moon in Gemini. I am really orienting this towards the new moon in Gemini, because this is where this forecast is heading. Also, I think it's quite exciting for you, really, truly exciting. We have got the energy shift from going in your 3rd house right the way through to your 10th. But before I start that, I just want to give a shout out to all those lovely people who support this channel. Thank you very much if you're one of them. I really appreciate all the kind gestures and donations and support. It's really, really cool. So thank you very, very much. Really, truly, thank you. So let's have a look at these charts. So this is the full moon in Scorpio one, and you'll see here the full moon is activating the third house, which I think is creating a lot of tension in your local community, or that feeling of tension around things where you feel like you belong. So this house is quite a busy house. It's one where we often find ourselves, being very busy, meeting people. It's a place where there is a shared narrative that we all live by. Now, normally, and maybe this was more obvious when we were growing up. And, I don't know where you're living now and what it's like, but from my own experience, I know that when I grew up, there was a bit of a mindset, and everyone that I came across had a similar mindset. And yeah, love it or loathe it. I think a lot of people that fall out with their mindset, their narrative, where they belong, they often end up going off on an adventure, in particular to their ninth house, or the ninth house represents everything much bigger than the third house. The third house really shows you your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, what you learn in your early years, and the context that you share with your friends and your family, your siblings, your cousins, and also your work colleagues. But up here, this is where the sun is, and also where Uranus is, and also Mercury. And there's a lot of emphasis here, sort of really encouraging you to think outside the box, outside of your community, outside of the narrative that maybe you grew up with. It's really encouraging you to kind of shake yourself awake. And it's bringing a much deeper and broader view on life. And so I think at the time of the full moon, you're feeling the incompatibility from early belonging to the belonging in the world. You might also feel very emotional at home, and also a little bit terrified of what's out there, because with Uranus up here, it appears that all the change is coming from the outside, and that can feel quite belittling and a little bit worrying. So I can see that if you felt comfortable here, the tension is like, oh my God, what's going on over there? What's going on in Canada, America, Australia, all these different votes, like voting's taking place, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, that's where this forecast is starting from. Maybe a sense of sensitivity in your local environment, and feeling that maybe something's amiss, something's not quite right. Now, as we go through this reading, you'll see that the moon comes around to this point, at the midway mark, and at that same point on the 20th of I was going to say the 20th of Gemini, but the 20th of May, the sun, it's right over the top of your chart. It's right at that sort of crucial point, right at the start of your 10th house. It's really saying, okay, now is the time for you to push yourself forwards. This is the time for you to really start to think about your future and think about what you're building. It's quite an ambitious place to go to. And then as we come around to the new moon, you'll see the sun and the moon in the same place, Mercury nearby, and also Uranus. Now, if I just take this back a second to some of these things happening during this time, we've got this very powerful Uranus cazimi on the 17th, that's Saturday the 17th. And so what's happening, you'll see at the start, the sun is really close to Uranus and it's moving in this direction. Mercury is close as well, and he's moving over this point. And also the moon is going to move over this point. So all three of those, the sun, the moon, and Mercury, are really picking up a flavor of the Uranus theme. And you can see this. So you got the Uranus conjunction with the sun, the cazimi on the 17th, that's Saturday. That's a time when you might get some sudden inspiration that could help you answer your biggest problems. Now, your biggest problems might be, I mean, you can have a whole heap of different things, but, looking at this, it might be the tension of not feeling safe in your own community. It might be that you feel like exposed. The outside pressures are sort of exposing you to risk and a feeling of not being quite safe. It could be all sorts of different things, but whatever your biggest problem is, or the thing that you can't seem to get beyond, I think you could really get a flash of inspiration, a flash of spontaneous knowledge. And it might not come through you. Obviously, if you're a channel, it could definitely come through you. But this could be from something that you do spontaneously, like being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right person. And the ninth house is all about being away, being somewhere foreign, being somewhere new, being in new company. It's something very fresh and unusual about this energy. So and then actually on the 24th, the following Saturday, Mercury is in an exact conjunction with Uranus. So I don't know what your plans are for the next 2 Saturdays, but if I was in your shoes right now, I think I would plan for them to be a little bit further afield, away from your home, in a new place, maybe doing something quite spontaneous or unusual, something that's captured your imagination, and see what clues there are. So I always think when you go somewhere new, like you might end up talking to somebody and they just say something and it rings a bell, you get a little clue, or like there's a persistent animal that you see. I've seen spiders all over the place in the last week. Everyone I've gone out for coffee with has had a spider coming, like a little money spider in their hair. So there's always and I got hit in the head by a glowworm as well. So these little spontaneous little things that are going on between you and nature and you and the outside world, take note. It's almost like life is communicating with you. It's giving you a heads up as to what could help you. So I think they're really important points. Now, in the sign of Gemini, I said this is about your career and how you stand in the world. You've already got Jupiter there, and he's been a long-term resident, and he's going to be shoving off around the 9th of June and going into the sign of Cancer. Now, Jupiter isn't that well placed in this whole 2-week period. He's in a T-square that's kind of manifesting, coming into that T-square and then slowly moving out of that T-square. But he's in a T-square with that's the North Node, and then to the South Node too. I didn't put that line in, but to me, from your perspective, I think your expansion in your career is slightly stiff at the moment. It feels slightly awkward. Maybe there's a lot of ideas batting around, but you feel like there's something just holding you back. You can't quite navigate it. You can't quite put your finger on it. Now, with this, with this South Node here and the North Node here, what I'd recommend you do is maybe have a look at the old feelings. And I'll tell you why I'm talking about old feelings, but old feelings where things haven't gone very well for you. So in the past where your success has been stilted, or in the past where you've gone to do something and you've expected a huge fanfare and for things to go really well, and it actually hasn't. So anywhere where you've got some pain around the past, and I say that quite pointedly because this is also in the first house of your identity. So anywhere where being you has led you to not evolve or expand as quickly as you wanted, or where a failure has made you think about yourself in an unfavorable way. So it's like any old business upsets. I'm losing my words here. Anywhere where you feel disengaged and disappointed in yourself. This is the perfect time for you to let go of those emotions, or at least tease them out a little bit, or at least revisit them with somebody who can listen, like truly listen without judging you, like listen and just hear you in that moment of discomfort and hear it so you get to really say it. And then for you to almost, I think sometimes we get stopped in our pain, don't we? Because someone interrupts us or said, oh, turn your frown upside down or something like that. But really, it's time to feel it, really realize you're feeling it, and to realize, but that was then, and you are a different person now. And, just because it's gone wrong 9 times doesn't mean say it's going to go wrong a 10th time, if you know what I mean. So, I think it's important to take control there, give yourself that out. And the reason why I suggested that is because, and again, this is another line I haven't put in, but Jupiter is also in a sextile with Chiron. It's opening up those old wounds. And Jupiter is here to serve you. He is here to help your career grow. So in preparation for this new moon in Gemini, I think it would be great to explore those and go much deeper with them. Now, there's also some other things that I think are very helpful. And so I've just mentioned these last ones. So I love this, really, truly love this. Mars and Venus is in a lovely trine for the whole 2 weeks. And they're providing a lovely balance between your need to push and, like really push yourself out there versus, your desire to maybe take it a bit easy and to be graceful. So you're knowing when to like move forwards and knowing when to just sit back. There's none of that confusion about it. That's nice. And it feels like you can be supported. So if you're someone who, oh crikey, I can't believe I'm using these words. I get tripped up over this because I don't want to cause offense to anyone that might be watching. And if I say something that doesn't quite work for you, please know that I'm doing it from my like biggest heart space to you. And I'm 50, so I'm not maybe as like cute and modern as you might be. But so if you are a female or identify more with your feminine gender, there you go, you might find more balance from more masculine energy and vice versa. So I really think the balancing of the male and the female over the next 2 weeks is going to be really favorable. It's going to really work for you. So, if you really like, I feel very feminine, and so my masculine complement, my husband, is a really good check and balance to me right now, so that I don't sort of go really super soppy or too soft. This is the time to get the balance right. And this is really helpful actually, because this is in between the 8th and the 12th houses, which are both very private houses, and places where we might not always we might be a bit secretive. We might hold things in a little bit. So I think the interplay between masculine and feminine is really helpful to birth your openness, like to help you be more transparent. So that's one thing I'd look out for. I also want to acknowledge that finally, Mars is coming out of the opposition with Pluto. It's been a bit of a shit show, to be honest. Anyone with a strong Mars or Pluto in their chart, anyone with a strong Scorpio or Aries, I've got Scorpio ascendant, most likely you felt quite sort of held back a little bit, between moving forwards and feeling that other people are kind of pushing you back. So Mars coming out of this is going to be very, very helpful. I think your mental health, like how you think about things, your inner programming, is going to start to move forwards. So again, it's another indication that this is the right time to delve a little bit deeper, because, and this is where I'm going to, the new moon in Gemini is coming up, and the clearer and lighter the space is for your career, the better off you'll be. So the more you've delved into, or dove, I don't know, I guess dove is the right word, but the more you've dived into those things that hold you back, that create resistance in you, and the more you're appeasing to your fears and letting them run rampant, the more resistant you're going to be to accept the beauty of this open energy. This energy here, the new moon and Mercury and Uranus, is here to open you to a new spontaneity with your career, to see that there are new possibilities, and to have a real sort of hopeful new set point. It's also these guys are all in a trine to Pluto. Pluto is going to really help you come into your own power. So you don't have to scheme to make things feel okay, so you feel safe. He allows you to see where you don't feel safe, and then to say, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that. And that is actually when you come into choice. When you're trying to protect yourself from what's going on outside, and you think you can do it, but you can't. Like, the only thing you can change is what's going on in here, inside. And so Pluto and these guys are really going to help you come out of your fear and move into a new place with possibility. Realize it's all within you. So I think I might leave it there. Oh, damn, I haven't mentioned Saturn. So yeah, Saturn's coming out of Pisces. He's going into Aries. That is going to create a more distinct urge to move forwards again. Saturn is very ambitious, and the 8th house is a place of birth, growth, like stagnation and death. He is the whole life cycle. He is about you moving on and accepting where you are. Like I said, I'm 50. I'm adapting to the fact that my body is changing. We are all at different stages in our own developments. And if I was to, which I have done for quite a few years now, is said, no, I'm not going to get to this stage. I'm not going to. The more we hold ourselves back, the more we are stopping our own growth and stopping our own evolution. You're fighting reality, and reality always wins. So Saturn here is going to help you pull up your big girl or big boy pants and get to the task at hand, which is your growth, your evolution. And so Saturn is going to help you. He might make it a bit difficult, because he does wherever he goes. And I will be talking about that in a separate video. But for now, this, as far as I see it, Virgo, this is a really helpful time to you. And if you want even more specific information about your career, and also love, because there's all sorts of possibilities going on, then you might be interested to just look below. I've got details about my membership, where there are four readings every single month. So 2 at the new moon, 2 at the full moon, and one of them is a relationship and connection forecast, and the other one is a business, like a career and ambition forecast. There are also meetups, but you might also be ready for a consultation. So if I can help with that, then just get in touch. All of my details below. But anyway, have a fabulous 2 weeks ahead, and catch you real soon another time. Bye for now.